Okay, so get this. Researchers over at Alibaba just unveiled this new large language model
Uh-huh.
called Marco-o1, and it's designed specifically for tackling open-ended problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those ones where there isn't one clear right answer.
Right.
And that's different from most AI,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. Because, I mean,
Which usually excels at stuff with like very clear-cut answers, like
Right.
math or coding.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like with open-ended problems,
Yeah.
it's not just about getting to the right answer.
Mm.
It's like understanding the thought process behind it.
Right.
Yeah. How did you even arrive at that?
It's like the difference between like solving a math equation
Uh-huh.
and designing a city.
Exactly. It's like a much bigger and
more
more
nuanced kind of problem. Yeah.
So we're going to dive into some excerpts from their technical paper and see how this whole thing works.
Cool.
And honestly, some of the stuff in here is like straight out of science fiction.
It's wild, I know.
It is.
So like the core of this model
Yeah.
seems to be how it uses things like chain of thought fine-tuning, COT for short, and Monte Carlo Tree Search.
Yeah, that one sounds familiar.
MCTS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So COT sounds a bit like
Yeah.
teaching the AI to think step by step.
Yeah.
Like almost like we do when we break down a problem.
Exactly. Imagine like teaching a kid to, solve a puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of guide them through each step.
Mm-hmm.
That's COT.
Yeah.
It helps the AI kind of explain its reasoning.
Okay.
So instead of just like spitting out an answer,
Mm-hmm.
we can see how it got there.
So no more AI black boxes.
Right.
We actually get to peek inside and see them.
Just how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
As you say.
That's pretty neat.
It is.
Yeah.
And what's even more fascinating is that they didn't stop there
Yeah.
with just teaching it to think step by step.
They went a step further and incorporated MCTS,
Okay.
which is where things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Okay.
Break down this MCTS thing for me.
Okay, so imagine
Yeah.
the AI is playing like this massive game of what if
Okay.
with itself.
Yeah.
That's essentially what MCTS is doing.
Okay.
It allows the model to explore a bunch of possible reasoning paths to find the best solution.
So it's like having the AI think like a chess grandmaster.
Exactly.
Who's evaluating tons of different moves before making a decision.
Yeah.
Hold on. So it's not just randomly picking a path. It's actually...
It's being very methodical about it.
Yeah, weighing the pros and cons of each option.
Right.
This is huge GE.
I know. It's incredible.
It means the AI isn't just like picking a random solution. It's carefully evaluating
Getting all the angles.
Tons of options to find the best one.
Yeah.
Just like a human expert would.
Exactly. So to get even more technical for a moment, MCTS uses these things called tokens to make its decisions. Think of tokens like the building blocks of language. Words, punctuation marks, all those little pieces that the AI works with.
So it's like the AI is playing with Legos.
Yeah.
But instead of building spaceships, it's building arguments and solutions.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
I like that.
I try.
So to calculate the best path, it looks at the top 5 alternative tokens.
Yeah.
Think of them as words that it could have chosen at each step. So constantly thinking, okay, if I chose this word instead, where would that lead me?
It's like the AI is having an internal debate with itself, weighing all the possibilities.
It's a very thoughtful AI.
That's wild.
It is.
And to make this whole decision-making process even more precise, they break down reasoning into these smaller mini steps, which are like tiny chunks. Yeah, they're like...
Of 32 or 64 tokens.
Yeah, little snippets.
Okay, I'm picturing those tiny Lego pieces again.
Yeah.
Why break it down into such small bits?
Right.
Doesn't that just...
Yeah, good question.
Complicate things.
Think of it like navigating a maze.
Okay.
If you take huge steps, you might miss a crucial turn.
Right.
But if you take smaller, more deliberate steps, you can carefully explore every nook and cranny.
So it's all about finding that perfect balance between speed and accuracy.
Exactly.
Take smaller steps for the trickier problems, bigger steps when you can kind of get away with it.
Exactly.
I like it.
And speaking of being careful, they even build in a reflection mechanism.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
So at the end of a thought process, Marco-o1 is prompted to ask itself,
wait,
maybe I made some mistakes.
The AI is second-guessing itself?
Yes. It is?
That's pretty meta.
I know, right?
I mean, I do that all the time.
But I didn't know AI could do that too.
It's a really clever way to catch errors.
Yeah.
Because that extra reflection step actually helped Marco-o1 solve half of the problems that it initially got wrong.
Wow. So that's like having a built-in editor for your thoughts.
Exactly.
I could use one of those myself sometimes.
Seriously?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
They really seem to have thought of everything with this model.
Yeah.
And to top it all off, it's pretty good at translating slang and colloquialisms too.
Okay, now that I have to hear more, but we'll come back to that after a quick break.
Sounds good.
So before the break, we were talking about Marco-o1's talent for translating slang. I'm still trying to wrap my head around how an AI can even understand those subtle nuances of language.
I know.
That even trip us humans up sometimes.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It really highlights how Marco-o1 is going beyond just processing words on a surface level. Like it's actually developing an understanding of cultural context and humor.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what's really cool about that? Imagine a world where language barriers are no longer a thing.
Right.
People from different cultures could just like understand each other perfectly.
Yeah.
All thanks to AI.
That's a really intriguing thought.
Right.
Like AI could become this incredible bridge between cultures and help us connect and learn from each other on a deeper level.
It's almost like something out of science fiction.
I know, right?
But it's happening.
But it's happening right now.
Right now.
It's pretty wild.
And it's not just about understanding different languages. It's about grasping the jokes.
Yeah, the nuances.
The references. The things that make each culture unique.
Exactly. It's about capturing the essence of what makes us human. And it seems like Marco-o1 is making some serious progress in that department.
Okay. So we've talked about
reasoning, self-reflection, slang translation. But let's get practical for a sec.
Okay.
What real-world problems could we actually solve?
Yeah, that's the big question.
With an AI like this?
Right. Well, the possibilities are really quite vast.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Okay, so think about fields like healthcare.
Okay.
Where Marco-o1 could maybe help doctors analyze complex medical data. And make faster, more accurate diagnoses.
Or what about in scientific research?
Oh, absolutely.
Could it help scientists sift through mountains of data?
Yes.
To discover new breakthroughs or cures for diseases?
Yeah, or even assist engineers in designing safer, more efficient infrastructure.
Wow.
Like the potential applications are really endless.
It's like AI could become this amazing tool for amplifying human ingenuity.
Right.
We could tackle problems that seemed impossible before.
Totally.
All thanks to this partnership between
humans and AI.
It's a pretty exciting prospect.
Yeah.
Although, you know,
yeah,
it's important to acknowledge the potential downsides as well.
What kind of downsides are we talking about?
Well, one concern is that we need to make sure that these powerful AI systems are used responsibly.
That makes sense.
You know, we don't want to create something that could potentially backfire or cause harm down the line.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So as developers, we have a responsibility to ensure that these AI models are used for good.
Yeah.
And that they benefit society as a whole.
So it's not just about building smarter AI.
Right.
It's about building ethical AI.
Exactly.
That's a crucial distinction.
Yeah, that's a crucial distinction. It sounds like there's a lot to consider.
Definitely.
But the potential benefits are really inspiring. Okay, so back to Marco-o1 for a sec.
Yeah.
Earlier, we were discussing how
the researchers are still figuring out the best action strategy.
Right.
You know, whether to use steps, mini steps, or something else entirely.
Right. They're essentially trying to figure out the most efficient way for the AI to approach a problem.
What's interesting is that they suggested that the ideal strategy might not be a fixed choice, but something that could change depending on the problem.
It needs to be adaptable.
Yeah.
Right.
So if a problem is super complex, it might opt for those tiny mini steps.
Yeah.
But for something simpler, it might take bigger leaps.
Precisely. It's all about maximizing efficiency.
Yeah.
And finding the optimal path to the solution.
That's incredibly clever.
It is, yeah.
It's like the AI is becoming self-aware, recognizing its own...
It's like it's learning how to learn.
Yeah.
Which is pretty amazing when you think about it.
Strengths and weaknesses, and adjusting its approach accordingly. That adaptability is key to solving such a wide range of problems from, simple calculations to those really complex, multifaceted challenges.
Totally.
So we've got an AI that can reason, self-reflect, translate slang, potentially bridge cultural divides.
Yeah.
And now it can even adapt its thinking process on the fly. Is there anything this AI can't do?
Well, it's important to remember that Marco-o1 is still a tool, an extension of human intelligence.
Yeah.
It's not meant to replace human creativity or ingenuity.
Yeah.
We still need those things to guide its development and application.
Yeah. It's a partnership, really.
It is, yeah.
AI can help us push the boundaries of what's possible, but ultimately it's up to us to use it wisely.
Exactly. And I think that's a perfect segue into what I wanted to touch on next.
What is that?
Well, we've talked a lot about the technical aspects of Marco-o1, but I think it's important to step back and consider the bigger picture.
Okay.
This model represents a major leap forward in AI capabilities.
Yeah.
And it raises some really fascinating questions.
Like what kinds of questions?
Well, if AI can already do all of these amazing things, what's next?
That's a good question.
What other human-like abilities might AI develop in the coming years?
And perhaps even more importantly, how will these advancements impact society?
Right.
How will we adapt to a world where AI plays an increasingly prominent role in our lives?
Those are questions that we'll all be grappling with as AI continues to evolve.
For sure.
But one thing is certain. The future is going to be incredibly interesting.
I think that's the perfect note to end on.
Yeah.
We've delved deep into the world of Marco-o1.
We have.
Explored its capabilities, pondered its implications.
And now we want to hear from you.
Yes.
Our listeners.
What are your hopes and fears?
Yeah, what do you think?
About the future of AI.
Do you see it as a force for good?
Yeah.
A potential threat? Or something in between?
Share your comments.
Yeah.
And join us again next time for another exciting deep dive
into the world of AI.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been unpacking all the fascinating details about Marco-o1, this groundbreaking AI that's kind of redefining what's possible.
It is, yeah. It's remarkable how much ground we've covered.
You know, one of the things that stuck with me is this idea of breaking down complex reasoning into those, mini steps, Yeah. It just seems so elegant, yet so powerful.
It is. Yeah. It really is.
It's fascinating how this approach kind of mirrors our own human way of problem solving.
Right. Yeah. It's like we rarely see the whole solution right away, right?
Yeah.
We take step by step, course correcting along the way.
And by mimicking that human approach, Marco-o1 is making its reasoning process more transparent, right? Yeah.
More understandable?
Definitely.
It's not just this magical black box spitting out answers anymore.
Exactly.
Right. It's we can kind of follow the AI's train of thought, which is really crucial.
Bro, absolutely.
If we're going to trust these systems to help us make important decisions.
Yeah, trust is a really big factor here.
Speaking of trust, earlier we touched on those, potential downsides of powerful AI. Things like ensuring it's used ethically.
Right.
Did the researchers address any of those concerns in their paper?
Yeah, definitely. They emphasized the need for responsible AI development.
Okay.
Specifically, they highlighted the importance of carefully curating the data used to train these models.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Because if you train an AI on biased data, it's just going to perpetuate those biases.
Exactly.
Which is definitely something we want to avoid.
Yeah, we need to make sure these AI systems are fair, unbiased, and ultimately beneficial to society as a whole. Sounds like a huge responsibility rests on the shoulders of AI developers.
It is. Yeah. But it's a shared responsibility, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has a role to play, from researchers to policymakers, even the general public.
Yeah, because as AI becomes more integrated into our lives, it's important that we all kind of understand its potential.
Right.
And its limitations.
And that's exactly what we're trying to do here on the deep dive, right?
Yeah.
We want to demystify AI.
Yeah.
Make it accessible to everyone and encourage thoughtful discussion about its role in our future.
I think we've done a pretty good job of that today, don't you think?
I think so, yeah.
I feel like we've gone from feeling a little intimidated by all the technical jargon to having a solid grasp of how this thing works